Oh, we're back. Sick podcast, Recruits Draftcast. That's right. We came through with our promise. Second show of the week, nonstop. So last show, right, was basically a compensation for last week. Plus, we had a fantastic guest. If you haven't seen it somehow, please go check it out. Do yourself a favor. We had Nick Four, head coach of the U.S. National Development Team program. Now, this week, we're touching on this week, stuff that is happening right now, right? So we're going to be touching on Grant's new top 10 rankings, right? A lot of things changed, a lot of interesting things to talk about there. We're also going to be looking at a big hit that Adam Yurchek, top prospect of this 2024 draft, took recently. As always, right? Habs prospect of the week, our riser of the week, and prospect of the week. So let's get going.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Recruits Draftcast.
And with the first overall selection in the 2023 NHL Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are very proud to select from the Regina Pats, the Western Hockey League, Connor Bedard.
The sickest NHL draft and scouting podcast. It's gonna be sick.
It's going to be sick. As always, I am your host, producer Shane, joined by the still a bit sick Grant McCagg. Grant, you feeling any better? Or, you know what? Still powering through, right? Like a trooper.
Yeah, I blew my nose in between these two podcasts, so we're ready to roll.
There you go. You do feel better. I love it. So recently on recruits.ca, you uploaded your new top 10 rankings. Let's bring it up if we can, and let's dissect this bad boy because it's going to be interesting. First and foremost, right, Macklin Celebrini, number 1. We touched on this a few weeks ago. He's now surpassed Anton Silyev in your books, who is still number 2. But we got to start with number 3 here because Caden Lindstrom has cracked your top 3. Talk to me about that.
My man. Yeah, I love Lindstrom. He's just every time I watch him, he scores and he impresses. He's a great skater. He's got a lot of jam to his game too. As when we were speaking with his head coach there a couple of weeks ago, and mentioned that he's got a mean streak in him. I mean, when you can skate like he can, you got a mean streak. You play a two-way game, and you're one of the top goal scorers in your draft year at the WHL level. I mean, what's missing, right? It's he's got 30 to 40 goal, 6'4", fast center NHL potential. That's a top 5 pick. No brainer, unless some other guys just blow you away. And I mean, there are some other kids that, as you can see by the rankings, have moved up. But I had him top 10 after the Olenka. And as Willie, Desjardins was saying at the time, that maybe NHL scouts didn't think that he should be that high. I don't know. I've loved him ever since the Holinka. And he's only shown that offensive upside that we saw glimpses of in the summer is coming to fruition. You love to see them on an upward development curve. And that's what we're seeing with Lindstrom. I just love the kid. And I don't think an NHL team will go wrong drafting him in the 2024 draft.
That's right. So looking at number 4 here, he's been on every top 10 board from everybody, but we haven't really talked about him that much. Lev Shunov, who plays in the USHL. He doesn't play in Europe, by the way. So talk to me about him. What can NHL teams expect out of this right-handed defenseman? Yeah,
I actually, this list that I sent doesn't have it updated, but he's playing Michigan State in NCAA. Anyways, but that's fine. We love him. He's stepped right into college this fall, and just been amazing. He's averaging close to a point a game. And I think I had some issues when I went back and, in the summer when I did my first rankings, looking at him playing for Green Bay in the USHL last year. There was a lot of casualness in his defending. And the stats bore it out with him. I think he was, his plus minus was very poor considering how many points he had. And I mean, it reflected on the ice, but he's getting some great coaching, obviously, at the college level, and he's upped his defensive game, his compete level. Everything looks better defensively with him now, and that was the big concern. Certainly last year we saw it, that he had great offensive potential, and for him to step into college and produce like he is already is equally as impressive. So the sky's the limit with this kid. He's big, he's mobile, he's smart, has a great shot, has good passing ability. He looks like he's got NHL power play potential. So he's climbed as well. Like all three of these guys in the 3, 4, 5 all climbed in the rankings from last month, and they're all looking great.
Yeah. And speaking of number 5, right? No spoilers, but we're going to talk about him later again. Konsta Helenius, who jumped up your rankings here. Number 5 is no joke. Like, he is above Demidov, Yzerman. It's pretty high praise.
Yeah. And I mean, take nothing away from those guys. I mean, Demidov, the poor guy, out of sight, out of mind, more so than anything with him, because he's been injured the last 2 months. Just these kids coming on like gangbusters, I mean, Demidov comes back in and he plays like I saw in the exhibition season. He'll end up going back up in the rankings above these guys. But for now, these kids are just playing lights out. Helenius 2 weeks ago played in the U20 event, Four Nations Cup, and the NHL scouts that were there came away really impressed by him. He's just like Lev Shunov. Early tape I was looking at of him, but in his case, in the exhibition season, playing in Liga, he wasn't playing that hard away from the puck, and he looked like that had to come a long way. And they came away from that event. The one scout said to me, he plays like he's 250 pounds. So that really it was the opposite of what I saw in the preseason. So I went and had a good look at him. And in the 3 subsequent games that he's played in Liga, he's had 6 points and was just fantastic. So he's in your draft eligible year to play in Liga and in any 3-point game stretch to have 6 points and to play like he is. He's a top 2 center at Liga, in his draft year. So I changed my tune on him rather quickly when I had another good look at him. And I mean, that's going to happen throughout the year. The more you see kids, you adjust your list accordingly. You can't be too hard-headed. You have to be flexible on it. And maybe what you see early on isn't necessarily what you're going to see later. So I changed my mind on him. Looks fantastic and fully deserving to be in the top 5 at this point.
Right. And you mentioned something, right? It's important not to fall in love with the prospects. You may see a certain stretch of games where you're like, wow, this kid is legit, but maybe that was just a fluke. And then after that, your perspective is skewed for the rest of the season and you overvalue that player, right? So it's important to stay objective, stay level-headed. So happy to see Helenius, getting the praise he deserves because he's been playing lights out. And again, We'll touch on him later. Don't forget that. Number 7, Cole Yzerman, right? We just talked to his coach, Nick Four. This is going to raise some eyebrows because he's highly touted, right? A lot of people have him top 3, whatever. Why is he 7th in your rankings?
Yeah. And I mean, after talking, listening to his coach there, he's like, geez, I better bring him back up again, And I mean, this is, it's fluid. We're in November, so lots of time for him to change my mind and move back up into the top 3 where he was to start the year, and where a lot of scouting agencies have him, I mean, he's a natural goal scorer, and for that reason alone, he's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. Maybe a 40, 50 goal scorer at the NHL level. So that tells you how much I like these other kids. If, if he's got that potential, and I still, I have these other guys ahead of him. Now, you could easily flip him and Demidov, but I didn't want to kill Demidov too much just because he's not playing, he's not, it's not like his play has gotten worse because he's not playing. So, I mean, he's just not in there playing right now. So you got to be careful with that. But Yzerman, I absolutely love his will to score goals. That's what he wants to do. He's a goal scorer. He's got a great shot. Goes to the scoring areas, demands the puck. With that, sometimes you get to see maybe a bit of selfishness in a player's game, like we saw it with Phil Kessel at times, Brett Hull, where maybe the rest of their game suffers a bit because that's, they just want to score goals. They don't want to necessarily always back check or pass the puck or be unselfish with their play. Seen that some with Yzerman, where there's a little bit of concern that has come in about the rest of his game. The slap in the stick, looking for the pass and then not getting it and looking up to the sky and stuff like that. The body language, I know, I mean, it's only so pertinent and important, but you see it. And it bothers me. And as such, and I think it reflects on his game where he's a bit of a one-way player at this point. Now, that one way is fantastic. He's a goal scorer. He's going to score goals. So, he still stays in my top 7 for now. But 5'11" winger, one-way guy to a certain degree at this point. One trick pony, you could say. It's for those reasons that I've dropped him a bit. Now, we keep seeing tournaments. He goes to the U18s and he puts up, if he ends up the year breaking Cole Caulfield's goal record as he was on pace for earlier in the year and stuff, it was okay. You can overlook the warts and move him back up the ranking, right? But I mean, Hellenius is a center, a lot better playmaker, a lot better two-way player at this point, better skater, just all around better, prospect. Levshunov's a 6'2" defenseman that looks like he could be a top pairing guy. Lidstrom's a 6'4" center. There's certain elements overall where value-wise, you like these guys a little better. You think that maybe they bring more to the table, but there's not a lot separating 2 and 7. You could say, safe to say. And Yzerman could go anywhere from 2 to 7, probably, or will bounce back and forth between 2 and 7 in my rankings all year. Right. It's funny, like Oliver Wahlstrom, he was top 5 just about majority of his draft year. And I get a lot of people, a lot of scouts are comparing the two as being similar. Now, Yzerman, I think, is a better goal scorer, but Wahlstrom by draft day was out of the top 10 because the other parts of his game just didn't seem to come like you'd expected or hoped. And I mean, look at him today. He's not tearing it up yet at the NHL level. I mean, there's still time for him to, but those other parts of his games didn't develop as much as you'd like probably. And he's suffering now at the NHL level a little bit. Now, I think Yzerman's a even better goal scorer, so he's probably going to be able to overcome any other deficiencies that he has. So he's likely to stay, somewhere in the top 8 all year. But right now, a little disappointed in other parts of his game, and very, very impressed with some other kids that moved up in the rankings. So I've got him at 7 for now, and we'll see where he ends up by year's end.
Yeah, that's it. It's still only November 29th right now, so it's going to fluctuate. But I think it's more of a testament to the players above him than his game. Right? This draft, like you've said dozens of times already, is so deep, and I guess that's just like the last year's draft, right? It was top 3 heavy. You got Bedard, Fantilli, Carlson. We knew those 3 were going top 3, and then there's a bit of a drop off after that, right? This year, you're saying 2 to 7 doesn't have a big gap between, so that's really exciting stuff. Number 8, Zane Parekh, again another offensively minded defenseman playing for Saginaw. So why is he above certain other defensemen who others might be saying, "Hey, where is this guy?"
Yeah, like Sam Dickinson. Yeah.
Well, I did ask later.
He's like next on the list there.
Okay.
And yeah, he well, just as time's gone on, Parekh is his first 12 games of the year, he was on the ice for 24 goals against, which isn't great. But it led into the concerns that people had with his defensive game, where, away from the puck, he had a lot of work to do. And so you start to think, oh, geez, is he going to be the next Ryan Merkley? Lights out offensively, but doesn't learn how to defend. There's a difference with Parekh and Merkley in that Parekh cares. He wants to get better. He competes hard. He skates hard away from the puck. And he's improved his defensive game. His last 10 games, he's been on the ice for 9 goals against. So less than a goal a game on the ice, as opposed to 2 goals a game, which is, better than double improvement. So we're seeing him competing harder. I think he's starting to learn some, that he's got to work a little harder and care a little more about the defensive end of the game. He's got the skating ability to be a decent defender. It's funny, in their draft years, like Cale Makar, there was concerns about his defensive game. Well, you don't have those concerns now.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes, concerns about his defensive game. And even his first couple of years in the NHL, there still was. But now, again, the offensive part of his game is just so good that you forgive, the supposed defensive issues that he has. But I mean, Hughes has improved leaps and bounds defensively since his, rookie NHL season. Parekh has the right attitude. He's a really good skater, decent size, like he's 6 foot. He's not undersized really. Strong enough kid. I think his defensive game will just keep improving. And that's being the case. He's got NHL quarterback, power play quarterback written all over him. he's on pace for 83 points this year. The last draft eligible defenseman to get more than 80 points in a year was in the OHL was Ryan Ellis. So like you have to go back 15 years.
That's quite a player right there.
Yeah. He's just dynamic offensively. He's so good with the puck. I think we underrated Lane Hudson, Quinn Hughes, Adam Fox, all in their draft years because, well, would they be able to defend well enough to make up, they all look like offensive defensemen, but would they be able to defend? Well, I mean, Fox and Hughes are two of the top defensemen in the league now. Hughes is going to be a friggin' Norris finalist this year, and Fox won it a couple of years ago. So, Fox was picked in the 3rd round. Safe to say he should have been picked higher, right? And as we discussed last episode, safe to say that Lane Hudson should have been picked higher. Now, I mean, we haven't seen it at the NHL level yet, but I mean, playing 25, 30 minutes a game in college in all situations, tells you that he's going to be able to play 5-on-5 at the NHL level and be a good defenseman and put up big points. So I think maybe we get a little too conservative when it comes to these offensive defensemen at times. And I did have Parekh in the mid-teens. Rocco Zappia, who scouts with me, has been pushing him, saying, "Look, I don't care. Look at how I haven't seen an OHL defenseman since I started scouting with his offensive skills." And it's right. And he's right. So I think I had another look at him. I did a deeper dive into his stats and how he's improved. I have an article that I'm publishing either later tonight or tomorrow, in-depth article with 2 good videos on Parekh that explain that go into in-depth as to why I have him top 10 now. And I think it's just we've made the mistakes in the past, and you have to look at prior drafts and tendencies and what, how players have been drafted and how they develop later and learn from your mistakes. And I think there have been mistakes made in the past with offensive defensemen that hopefully NHL scouts don't make the same mistake and they're too conservative with Parekh. And I'm looking at it and thinking, geez, this kid could be run a power play and be a 60, 70, 80 point NHL defenseman. Well, how do you not rank that in the top 10?
That's it.
The upside's there. So again, another example of being flexible. I moved him up into the top 10. And if we continue to see improvements in his defensive game as the year goes on, he's another guy that could be, he might be top 3 by draft day. I mean, the upside's there. If he's, if he scores 80 to 100 points in the OHL this year and improves defensively, I don't see why he can't be a consideration for the top 3. So another kid that is, is in the mix for the top 3. I think all 8 guys that I have listed have that potential to end up anywhere, from 3 to 8. So it's fun. It's this draft is starting to shape up to be a very intriguing one. Definitely.
Now, Trevor Connolly at number 9, I really like. All right, he was a revelation to me at Linka Gretzky. He was by far the best player on Team USA. I thought the upside was there, but for some reason, a lot of other scouting reports said that they had him mid first round, low first round. I'm like, I don't know. I'd probably have him higher. And here you are, confirming my beliefs, having it at number 9. I'm I'm very happy to see that.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that, and that's why I moved him up into the top 10, because you liked him at the.
Thank you.
At the Halenka. Yeah. He no, I mean, he was great there, and he's probably the best player in the USHL, and it's his draft year. You know.
Yeah.
He competes. Like, there's not a lot to dislike about his game. He maybe overhandles the puck a little bit too much at times. That might be the only knock on him as far as his game on the ice. You know, there might be some scouting services that are knocking him down a bit because of that. You know, the off ice issues that we've went into details on before, but
a long time.
Yeah. I mean, U.S. Hockey keeps inviting him to events. He's going to be at the World Junior Challenge. He was at the Halenka, so they're comfortable. You know, they're comfortable with getting over that issue that he had with the when he was 16 years old. Now he on ice, he looks like a top 10 prospect. And I think, I mean, New Hampshire has no issue with him either. They're going to have him next year on the, you know, on the college team. USA Hockey doesn't have an issue with his character. So I think at the end of the day, NHL teams will do their due diligence and will be comfortable enough with him to, because he's top 15 talent for sure in this draft. And I suspect that he'll go fairly high in the draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. And rounding out the top 10, another name I'm a big fan of, Tej Iginla, making his dad proud, ripping up the WHL. This kid is no joke. I'm very happy to see him in the top 10. Yeah,
he's the draft teaser this week. Yeah. He ended up making the top 10. And you pronounced it well, very well there.
Tej.
Yeah, Tej. He yeah, I mean, you looked at draft lists in the off season, and you didn't see him in first rounds, and I went and had a look, and geez, you know, I mean, his stats weren't great last year, but he was on Seattle. They were a stacked, you know, Memorial Cup team. So he didn't get opportunity, and it didn't get many points. So going into the year, people didn't rank him, you know, top 50 even, a lot of lists. But so I started out conservative with my ranking on him. Let's see what he can do. But what I did see from last year when he did play impressed me. So I had him, you know, I had him top 50. Then I had him top 40. Then I had him top 30. And, you know, every week he's climbing up like 10 spots. Yeah. And just, I mean, you just keep seeing it. He, even with Crystal out of the lineup, Iginla was driving the offense for Kelowna constantly. He's really impressing NHL scouts. I had a couple that you know, said, "Wow, he's really impressing me." And he great skater, great shot, absolute bomb of a shot. Works hard, competitive, smart, and scores goals. So there's no real holes in his game, and you got to love the pedigree too. You know,
yeah,
the old man, Hall of Famer, right? And just, I mean, Jarome Iginla is one of the nicest guys you ever come across. Like, I just loved Jarome Iginla. I think he's just his character's through the roof.
Yeah,
and you know, the apple typically doesn't fall far from the tree, right? So, character kid too, great upbringing, just checks off all the boxes. He's a safe pick, and also has tons of upside. Like, he could be a 30-goal scorer at the NHL level. Now I've got him listed as a center there, but he's probably going to be a winger, and he's been playing predominantly on the wing. So I'm going to another one of the amendments I'm going to make to the rankings here, along with Lev Shunov being with Michigan State. And we'll get that sorted out and updated on the website. But yeah, I think he's just a fabulous prospect. And I mean, you know, the next guys, 11, 12, like I say, Dickinson, fallen off a little bit. Him and Juracek both, a little bit, but both still could go top 10. Both are really good prospects, and they're right in that mix too. There's a dozen guys, you know, that are going to be shuffled all year long. I'm sure. You know,
Sure.
You're going to see Juracek, or you're going to see Dickinson probably back in the top 10 at some point this season, and probably maybe go back out again. I mean, there's not a lot to dislike about his game either. So really liking the top of the draft class this year. I think as per usual, anybody that ends up with a lottery pick could get themselves a heck of a prospect.
Definitely. And there's another name too that I was surprised not to see, was Berkeley Catton. We've been praising him on the show quite a bit. I love his game. We even had his coach on. So
yeah,
I figure he's still fairly high in the first round, right? But not being in the top 10 surprised me a bit. Why is he
and Mikey Shinpad too? You know, he was in
that's
there.
Right. Nygaard.
He was in there too. And it's no slight to that, you know, just some other guys have, you know, guys that are a little bigger, maybe a little more NHL upside. Catton it has been fine, and he's right there too. Actually, he's 12, and Juracek is 13, I believe, at this point, and Nygaard is 13 or 14. So, you know, really there's 14 guys, if you want to get down to it, that could be shuffled. You know, you can argue one way or the other. I just like these other guys a little more at this point. Catton's, there has some concern has crept in a little bit about his play, willingness to go to the inside and battle. If you're a 5'11" center, you're going to be a top 10 pick. You have to show that you're because you're undersized, and at the NHL level, you're going to have to be competitive. He's got to battle a little harder, work a little harder away from the puck. The defensive game needs to come along. So there's some slight concerns. And I mean, that's all it takes sometimes for a guy not to be deemed to be a top 10 pick, because there's so many other good prospects, right? Like Riley Heidt. There's some similarities to Heidt. I mean, you know, Heidt didn't go. He was top 10, top 15. Braden Yeager, another guy, very similar size center, was great at the Hlinka the summer before. Slowly just sort of moved down the rankings a bit as the year went on because of his size, because of his compete. There being minor concerns about it. And it's similar with Catton. I mean, unfortunately, he's not 6'2", you know. And if you're not 6'2", you got to be damn good to be in the top 10. And at this moment, we want to see a little more compete from him. Again, another candidate to move right back up into the top 7 as he was earlier in the year. So, yeah, still love the kid a lot. Got some, you know, reports back from NHL scouts that saw him live that are a little concerned about how hard he competes in tight spaces. You know, will he go to the inside? Will he pay the price defensively? And he's got 5 months to improve that. And we loved him so much in the summer, right? So unfortunately, when some kids move up in the rankings, it means some kids move down a bit. So, but still a hell of a prospect.
So another prospect that we've already mentioned, Adam Jiricek, was the victim of a pretty serious hit recently in the league that he plays in right there. Again, that's an interference call. That's completely illegal. But the dangers of a 17-year-old playing in a pro men's league like he is exactly that, right? This, depending on the severity of his injuries, we haven't gotten any details yet, but it could put a pretty big hindrance on his draft stock, right? He could fall lower than he should just based off of the fact that he's going to miss a lot of games. So Grant, what are your thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, that was, I mean, a perfect storm there. He got a suicide pass. He, I don't know if we can bring it up again there, but it was a suicide pass. He looked the other way, like,
yeah,
and then the guy hit him before he really touched the puck, you know. And I mean, this other guy, somebody, I posted a link of it there today, and somebody posted another hit by this defenseman where he just, like Scott Stevens, you know, like he did on Lindros that time. So this guy's got a reputation for big hits. So it was a perfect storm for this 17-year-old kid, you know. It makes you wonder. It's an example like that. Like he could be out for frig. I mean, he might have a concussion that he never recovers from. Like he went down hard. They didn't even bring out a stretcher. Now I don't, you know, this is a Czech men's league, and they took his helmet off and put a little towel under his head, and just, I don't know. It was not real impressed with how they handled it after that too. But I mean, his brother played in his draft year, you know, David Jiricek, but he was 6'3" and a lot bigger and faster, and was able to handle it physically. But, you know, I don't know. This kid doesn't have a point in the men's league. He's not great defensively. Yeah, he's good enough, I guess, to play. But does he really have to be playing in the men's league this year? It bothers me to see a kid that young get hurt that badly, in large part because he's just too young to be playing against men. I really hope he's okay, but I mean, he went down hard, and it's really unfortunate to see. And it makes you wonder whether, you know, they should be playing these kids at such a young age in some European leagues. It's just I really question that, you know. He doesn't. I don't know that he has a point. He might have 1 point all year. Like, is he really helping your team immeasurably where you have to be playing him? Can you not have a man playing instead? And I mean, it's not like he's going to be playing for that team for another 5-10 years. He's going to be in the NHL, you know.
That's it. So
it's not like you have to have him there for your own team's future, because he might even be gone next year. I just it bothers me, and it is an example of what you worry about with a 17-year-old playing. He doesn't turn 18 till next June. You know, he's not very thick. Why was he playing there? It bothers me, and I hope that when he does recover, that he gets sent back to junior, you know, plays where he should be playing. Yeah, he's a great junior. Well, fine.
Yeah,
there's nothing
let him
wrong
dominate.
with
That's it.
being a great junior, you know. I think he was probably going to play in the World Juniors. That's obviously in doubt now. You know, it's creeping up awfully quick. They're going to have camps in 2 or 3 weeks, and I don't know if he'll be playing now, and that disappoints a lot of scouts. So just a very unfortunate incident all around.
Definitely. No, that's it. You never want to see that, especially 17 years old, right? Highly touted prospect in his draft year. It's just terrible. And we really hope that, he makes a quick recovery and plays in junior, because that's where he should be. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
So moving on to our Habs prospect of the week this week belongs to Owen Beck of the Peterborough Petes. Let's have a look.
Yeah, Becker had quite a week. 4 games, he had 5 goals, 3 assists. It's funny how, we Twitter 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, oh, is this guy, what's going on with Beck? He can't produce. Is he a bust too? And then he has a week like he just did. And no, he's fine. He's going to be just fine. He's got a great shot, great release, and when you combine that with his skating ability, it's a good bet that he's going to be able to score some goals at the NHL level. In addition to all the other great aspects to his game, we know all about his two-way game, his face-offs, his competitiveness. He's a strong kid, but as you can see in all of these highlights, the kid can snipe too. He's going to be able to score goals at the NHL level, I think. May not be a great assist man, perhaps, at that level, but when you're hoping that he's a third-line center at the NHL level, and as far as I'm concerned, he's got 20-goal potential, well, you're an all-around centerman that can score 20 goals, win faceoffs, third-line center. It's been a long time since the Habs have had that. So the future's bright for him as a middle line center potential at the NHL level. And anytime you can get that with a second round pick, you're happy. So Canadians fans should be happy with Owen Beck. And it looks like his little scoring slump is over. And I would suspect that you're going to see him produce at a decent level the rest of the season. And it also helps him, if he'd have going into the World Junior Tournament, if he had been producing like lack of production that he was, there's so many good juniors. There might have been a question whether he was even invited. Well, I think a week like that kind of erases any doubts that might have been creeping in. And because he was the last cut last year and then got invited over, and when he did play, contributed and was great. You're going to see him. You're going to see him at the World Juniors, and
no doubt
he'll be a key part of the team, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to see that, and we're going to touch on the World Juniors when it's time, because it's very soon. We're going to be dissecting all of that right here on the Recruits Draftcast. So we told you we'd mention him again, right? Riser of the week this week belongs to Konsta Heleniuson. I mean, we got visual representation. He cracked the top 10 now. Yeah.
Well, last 3 games after that very impressive U20 tournament, he goes up back to his Liga team. And it's such a low-scoring league to produce like he is. Look at that shot. Now they pulled the goalie, right? Down a goal. Check this out.
Boom. Jeez.
Ties the game late. That's a draft-eligible kid in Liga.
Big time.
Like, it's just that impressed the heck out of me. Well, where he's a difference maker at that level. Look at that pass, that behind the back pass there. Just sweet. And then he gets the empty netter here. He's got great skill, and he's producing it at the league level. He, as I touched on earlier, there were concerns with his play away from the puck, and he's improved by leaps and bounds. Getting good coaching there, obviously, in Liga. Played in the U20 event 2 weeks ago. and was one of the better players. And that's with all, many of the best 18, 19-year-old juniors, Sweden and Finland and such. And he was one of the top players. That's in his draft year. That's very impressive too.
Mm-hmm.
He looked for him to be at the World Junior and to probably play a key role on Finland because they're not that deep at center. A lot of guys graduated, like Oliver Kapanen, Montreal Habs prospect there, that was their top center last year. But they've, I think all of their centers graduated that they had last year. So they'll need centermen, and I think he wins a spot and probably might even play a top 2 center role at the World Junior for Finland. If that's the case in his draft year and he impresses, he'll be climbing into the top 5 on a lot of draft lists. So dynamic, smart, skilled player that looks like a top 10 guy for sure now.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Consta Hellenius, riser of the week. Now, prospect of the week belongs to Liam Greentree. Let's have a look.
Well, he went into Ottawa there last week, and we had Rocco at the game. We're watching this game, and he 4 points in the third period to put Windsor on his back. But all of these plays were just amazing. That pass right there. Check this out. The goal he scored was Sniper's goal.
Yeah.
But that pass, that backhand pass was perfect. Now this was even more impressive. Like, he's a big kid. So look at how he shields the puck, and then the pass he makes here. Ding. That was amazing. And you're just jaw dropped. Ding. Like that. So he's got vision. He's got smarts. And this is the empty netter to seal it.
Hello.
Look at the effort. So, I mean, he showed compete. He showed hands. He showed great vision. He showed a great shot. There's another goal that he scored earlier in the week. So he had, I believe it was 7 or 8 points in 4 games, 4 goals, 4 assists. But that Ottawa game was just that sealed it for me. It was like, in the summertime, he was the extra forward at the Hellenic. So we started off the year, we kept him out of the first round. Heard that he was maybe a little, pouted a little bit about not being one of the regular forwards on the Hellenic team. The way he's playing, I think he had a good reason to be pouting, because he looks like one of the better draft prospects from Canada for this draft class now,
That's right.
But he didn't keep pouting. He didn't go back to Windsor and, woe's me. He had a chip on his shoulder and wants to prove that he should have been a regular at Hellenic, and the way he's playing there, wow. I mean, he's a big kid. He skates decently. He's got a great shot. Obviously, he's got excellent vision and puck protection skills. So, you want to check those boxes, and he checks most of them. He's climbed up to the 20 range now, and we see more performances like that. And he's another kid that will be in the top 10 discussion. There's a lot of things to like about him. So we tabbed him as a riser of the week, and it could have been Hellenius, could have been Perek. There's a bunch of them rising, and again, it excites me about this draft class. I really like the top 20.
Very deep, very, very deep, and even beyond. I mean, this is looking like a pretty loaded draft. So this gives us good content, right? We got good players to talk about. It's better than if the draft was very thin or, skewed towards a top 3 where all the eyes are on them, right? It's very spread out, which is awesome. Obviously, you got your Macklin Celebrini, who's having just a record year in the NCAA, but we know this already. He's fun to watch, but all of these guys, man, it's very exciting. So Liam Greentree, prospect of the week, and that'll wrap it up. 2 shows this week, guys. 2 shows. We were feeling generous, but it was a lot of fun. You know, we had Nick 4 previously on the show, and today we talked about Grant's top 10. So go on recruits.ca to see Grant's rankings. It's going to change, right? So keep updated to the rankings and all the content he produces as well for the Habs, right? Anything draft related, that is the place to be. So I invite you all to go check it out. As always, you know, you're more than welcome to subscribe, like the video, share your comments, any topics you'd like us to talk about. We look at the comments, we will analyze, and we might just do it. So thank you all for tuning in. Grant, I know you want to wrap it up so you can blow your nose, but any closing remarks?
Yeah, the top 10 that's on the homepage of Recruits typically is not the top 10 that's inside. You know, it's an older ranking, because I don't want to let all the cats out of the bag, but I'm going to update that. But if you just go to the, say, wait a sec, that's a different list than what we just saw here. Well, that's the master list. What you just saw, that's what you get for the subscription. You get 120. I think I'm up to 115 guys now that I have ranked as, and that I think I'm going to go 150 this year, because I got a really early start on it. And I mean, typically I only have a top 60 at this, or maybe even a top 30, but we're, done a lot of research, a lot of scouting early on this year, and I'm on top of it pretty good. So I think it's $1.99 a month for a draft subscription. We're going to be getting scouts comments galore up there from NHL scouts that I'll be Rocco Zappia is doing some great videos, scouting reports. We'll have updated rankings constantly, and articles on prospects and videos, that we get from, we study on Instat and put up some great prospect videos. So, I mean, if you're a draft fan at all, $2 a month, hopefully you can subscribe and support our hard work.
That's right. So good stuff there. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.